All right, everyone. Welcome to today's live session. We're ready to get started. My name is Tim. I am going to be your host for today. I'm the VP of Marketing at Loop. And today we're going to be talking about reducing holiday refunds. My co-hosts behind the scenes are Alex and Graham, so they're going to be manning the chat. So just for a bit of housekeeping, if you have questions that you want to ask, just use the Q&A function within Zoom. At the end of the session, we're going to get through as many as we possibly can. I think Alex and Graham are going to be firing them to me. If for some reason we just don't get to your question or if we miss it, just feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, shoot me an email. It's tim@loopreturns.com. And we'll be happy to answer it for you. So total time, I think we're going to run probably about 30 minutes total. So you'll be back to your days shortly. And we're going to be sending out a recording of this later on today. So feel free to take notes if you'd like, but just know that you'll have access to the deck and would rather you're totally engaged than trying to scribble down everything I'm saying, because don't worry, you'll get it afterwards. So let's go. Let's get into it. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday is going to be really, really big this year. That is not a revolutionary thing to be saying. I think everyone knows this is probably going to be the biggest year ever. The pandemic, has really had a major impact on e-com. So we've moved forward 10 years in just a few months. So with that, you're going to see more existing shoppers coming back and more than ever, a lot more first-time shoppers. So we know this is going to be really, really big. That shift, according to a study that Klaviyo ran, is going to equate to $1.1 trillion in sales in Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That means, and then what that equates to is about 2 times the amount of holiday shopping that happened the year before. And the way you should be thinking about that is that creates a ton of opportunity for online brands like yourself to grow revenue during the holiday season. But as you're thinking about the holiday season, you need to also make sure that you are thinking about what happens after the holiday sales season, and that is return season. So we refer to return season as December and January, and monthly returns in December and January are 83% higher than an average return month. So that's based off of return data that Loop has collected over the last 2 holiday seasons. And all in all, we pair that with having processed over 5 million returns for our merchants. And we're anticipating to see an even bigger season this year. So as a merchant, if you're not as prepared for the return season as you are for the holiday season, your profitability could be suffering. So that's why we're here today. Before we get too far along, I want to stop on this slide and debunk sort of a common misunderstanding in this part of the industry. And it's that a return is not a refund. They're 2 different things. Too often when we talk about a return policy, we're thinking about it or planning it like it's your refund policy. But just take a step back away from your day job and think about yourself as a shopper. So there's plenty of times when you buy something from a brand that you really, really like and you realize it's just the wrong size, the wrong color, or the wrong style, and you don't want a refund. You actually just want an exchange. But now step back into your day job, and if you're thinking about those as the same thing, you end up optimizing your policy for a refund, and you're essentially sending a signal to your shoppers that that's the action that you want them to take. And if we know anything about user behavior, users will do what you make it simple for them to do. They will follow the path of least resistance. So if you are thinking about returns and refunds as the exact same thing, you're kind of incentivizing the wrong behavior. And here's what the data is showing us about the brands who've optimized their return policy for refunds. So those brands see 80% of their returns end up as a refund. And again, we shouldn't be surprised by this because when you make it simple for a user to do something, that's exactly what they're going to do. So think about it this way. You've done all of this work leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday to create your strategy, to shoot your creative, optimize your website, get your team ready, get your campaigns ready. And then you start seeing all those sales come in. And then you just throw in a simple policy at the bottom of your website that just explains how to get a refund. You almost think about it like an afterthought. That's something that we hear over and over again. But again, you're optimizing for the wrong behavior. If you're making refunds simple, you're undoing all of the work that you did to get the sales in the first place. So I want to just unpack refunds for a second so we can kind of all level set on the impact that an 80% refund rate can have on your business during a time of high volume. So I think typically when we think about the cost of a refund, most of us would give a simplified answer of when a refund is issued, I lose the value of that order. The order value is the most obvious cost associated with the refund. So I think that's where everyone starts. But I think we all inherently know that there are more costs associated with a refund than just the order value. So beyond the obvious, it's the order value, but you also lose the cost of shipping. You may have already paid to send the order to the customer, and you may even be paying to ship the item back. Labor costs. So obviously, your team, their time is money, and if they're consistently processing refunds and restocking and working the warehouse, that adds up. Your acquisition costs. So when the customer refunds the order, you're also losing out on the acquisition dollars that you originally put into place to acquire that customer. And then lastly, and I mean, I think most importantly, is the opportunity cost. So a refund will often signal the end of a shopping relationship. They've requested the money back and they're likely going somewhere else. So when you consider all of the hard and soft costs associated with optimizing for a refund, I mean, that's really why we're here today, is to solve this problem and to give you some actionable tips on how to do that. So like I was saying, the average return to refund rate for Shopify brands is 80%. So what you're seeing here, these are just a handful of some of the brands that Loop works with today. And what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a playbook of what these guys are doing. Before we do that, I just wanted to call it a stat that brands who are using Loop, their refund rate is 65%. So they're beating the industry average by 15 percentage points. So they, of all the returns that come in, 15 true percentage points lower of those turn into refunds. And that makes a huge difference on the bottom line. The brands that you're looking at here today, they're really customer centric, and they've created strategies that make it easy for shoppers to go through an exchange policy as opposed to a refund. So what we did is we took all of their best practices, these guys and some others that aren't on the slide, and what we've done is we've boiled them down into a simple playbook for you. And we've also just sort of applied a lens of the holiday season. So these are strategies they're using all year, but there's some really specific points in here about how to use this during the holiday season. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So how do you turn refunds into exchanges this holiday season? So there are 3 tenets to this playbook, and these are the strategies that some of those brands are using. So number 1, make gift exchanges simple, since you're going to have a surge in these shoppers, and we're going to start by talking about that. Number 2, use free shipping as a reward for exchanging. And number 3, last and definitely not least, is we're going to show you how these brands are turning returns experiences into shopping experiences. So we're going to show you how to actually drive more revenue every time someone starts a return. All right, so let's get into it. So the first one, make gift exchanges easy. So why do we start here? Some of this might sound obvious, but I think it's worth calling out because we see it as a blind spot for a lot of people and their policies. So as we approach the holidays, the number of shoppers who are shopping for someone else skyrockets, and that's obvious. We're shopping for gifts during holiday season, and we've all been there on both sides of the equation, right? Like, I know I have some cousins who I don't see all the time, but I'm gonna have to buy them something, and I might not know what size they are or what style, or what style they like the best. And then at the same time, as a recipient, I'm getting gifts from people who, again, might not know what size I am, might not know the type of clothes that I like or the type of shoes that I wear, and it's just a very common behavior, because for 1 quarter a year, the person who's buying your product is not the person who's ultimately going to be using it or wearing it. So you need a strategy that aligns to that shift in shopping behavior. So just put really, really simple, what this strategy is all about is you need to put the person who is receiving the gift in control. So in a typical shopping experience, 52% of returns happen because the shopper has the wrong size. And that's when someone, and that's when someone's shopping for themselves. So just imagine how much more likely this is and how much higher this number gets when it's a gift. And I know, like, as we were putting this together, I was thinking to myself, every single year in November, I get a call from my mother asking me what size I am. And I'm a medium. I've always been a medium. And it's always this funny conversation of her, are you sure you're a medium? I think you're a large. And Mom, I'm sorry, thank you, but I'm not a large, I'm still a medium. And then it just never fails. She'll get it right like 90% of the time, but then I'll open something and it's a large, and she'll look at me and say, I think this fits you. And I hold it up and it just doesn't. So again, like, even though she's asking, I'm still stuck there now with something that I might like, but it just doesn't fit me. So a lot of brands don't allow for every single person to make an exchange on their own for the right size. Instead, they just issue a refund. So you see the disconnect there. It becomes really problematic to have gift givers and gift receivers to think of them as the same. So we have an illustration of this here. So again, on the left, my mom, she's the gift buyer. She buys me the sweater. That's the wrong size. I get it. I open it. I love it, but it's the wrong size, and I need to go exchange it. So I just pop onto the website. I go online to issue a return, and the brand tells me the only thing that I can do is actually get a refund. So what happens at that point? A couple things. So first of all, the money gets refunded to my mother, and I'm left sitting there with the decision of, do I just go buy this for myself and just pay for it myself, or do I call my mother and tell her which one I want and she goes and buys it? Or even more awkwardly, do I buy it myself and then ask my mother for the money? I mean, it's a mess, and I mean, and it's frustrating. And then I think too often we talk about customer centricity as a buzzword, but like, this is not customer centric. What is customer centric is putting the gift receiver in control. So how do you do that? So when someone comes to your website, it doesn't matter if they're the receiver or the gift giver. Anyone who has an item from you needs to be able to return it. So they should just be able to do some really simple stuff. So put in their order number and their zip code to look up the order. They need to be able to change the address on the order, because you have the gift giver's address. You don't have the gift receiver's. So for the exchange, you need to know where to send it. And as the gift receiver, I should be able to select a new item without processing a refund first, do the whole thing as one sort of cohesive experience. And when you do that, it's a really, really simple way to reduce refunds, because you're putting me in the driver's seat as the gift receiver. You reduce the amount of time that your support reps have to deal with exchanges, because it's automated. I'm doing it myself as the shopper. I can do it anytime I want. And again, it creates a really easy experience. I mean, think about in this example, if my mother bought me a sweater from a brand I've never shopped at before, and now I'm going to that online store for the very first time, that's my first impression. And we know that first impression makes a difference. So if you can nail that and create a great customer experience, you've created another loyal shopper in me, the gift receiver. Doing this manually, you might be thinking about this, is not the simplest thing in the world, obviously. So what we did is we actually pulled an example of one of our customers and how they do it, and I can walk you through that now. Okay, so this is Allbirds. So Allbirds uses Loop, and instead of preparing their team to optimize to do this manually, they've just automated. So the shopper is being sent on a really frictionless path here. So you would go on their site, you would click on gift returns, and it's really simple. So you have your order number and your zip code. That's it. And you could pull that right off the receipt. But let's say you don't have that. You can see at the bottom there, it says don't have your order information. There's a series of questions after that. You can put in, the email address of the gift giver, the last name of the gift giver, the zip code of the gift giver. There's a few different ways that Allbirds and Loop can find the actual order number for you. But the point is, me as the gift receiver, I am being put in control in this part of the situation. Next, they ask for my email address, because again, we need to know, Allbirds needs to know where to send the new pair of shoes. And then once I finish this, then all of this information is going to be printed right on a new shipping label for me. That makes it really simple to send the wrong shoes back. And then in just a couple of clicks, I can choose the actual product that I want. So let's say I got the peach shoes, but I really wanted to get the maroon ones. So I just click on that and I'm done. So again, you can sort of see the power of automating and putting the gift receiver in control. So that's the first strategy. So optimizing for gift returns. It's going to happen all the time. You're going to see a surge in Q4. So really, really important that you're thinking about this. Okay. Number 2, offer free shipping on exchanges only. Just on exchanges. It's a classic e-commerce play to offer free shipping. So let's talk about how that applies to a return experience. So you have to remember, like from the beginning, not all returns are refunds. Some are exchanges, other are refunds. Like I mentioned, we processed 5 million refunds, and we can tell you that when a refund happens, it often signals the end of the customer relationship. And that's a really key piece of information that you need to be thinking about as you're starting to think about investing time and resources towards reducing the number of refunds and focusing on exchanges. So we've all seen a million different studies. I won't quote stats for you of the impact that free shipping has on conversion. Suffice it to say, it has a high impact on conversion. So what we want to do to incentivize as many exchanges as possible is we want to use free shipping as sort of the carrot, as the incentive to get someone to issue an exchange as opposed to just a straight refund. So in concept, it's really, really simple. So if a shopper is presented with the choice of a refund or an exchange, you give them two choices. If they want to do a refund, that's totally fine, but you're going to ask them to pay the shipping. Again, the relationship, statistically speaking, is likely coming to an end at that point anyway. So you would ask the refunder to pay for shipping. But if you agree to do an exchange, that's great. And we're going to pay for your shipping. Again, you use that free shipping as a way to make someone pause and say, well, maybe I should shop. Maybe I should try to exchange here, as opposed to having to pay an additional $5 or whatever your shipping cost ends up being. So if you think about all the soft costs that are associated with a return, or a refund, back at that slide at the very beginning, you know how important it is and how costly it is to issue a refund. So it's really important to save the sale from being refunded. And if you're willing to pay for shipping, it's a really small cost when you consider all that you save to ensure that person doesn't do the refund. You might be asking who's doing this and does it work? So I put together an example for you. So this is a quick story on how effective this strategy can be. So this is a footwear brand that's using Loop. You've all heard of them. Some of you might even be wearing their shoes today. I'm not going to say who this is because of sensitive data, but just suffice it to say it is a brand that you all know. So the brand decided to implement this strategy last year and then track the refund rate before and after. So in month 1, they paid for shipping on refunds and exchanges. So this is just to set the baseline. So what they saw is 57% of their returns were refunds. And again, just as a reminder, like that's actually a really good refund rate when most Shopify brands are at 80%, but the baseline was 57%. In month 2 and 3, they offered free shipping on exchanges only. And you can see the difference. Only 41% of returns were refunds in months 2 and 3, and their exchange rate jumped significantly. So all in all, what to take away from this is they had a 28% reduction in refunds by offering shipping on exchanges. And they didn't have any pushback from their customers. So this isn't the only way to incentivize more exchanges, but this is a really, really simple way to do it. And the data has sort of proven itself that this drives the right customer behavior. So this is strategy number 2. And now we're going to move on to the third strategy, which is incentivizing customers to shop. So this is something that a lot of our brands are using to reduce holiday refunds. And what it comes down to is offering a bonus credit to shoppers who are willing to exchange. Let me show you what that looks like. So we call it bonus credit. At the moment when a shopper is about to request a refund, you present them with an alternative. So really simply, we will give you an additional $10 in bonus credit if you're willing to exchange this item and go back into our online store and keep shopping, if you are willing to do that as opposed to refunding. So by presenting them with that extra monetary value at the moment where they're making a decision, they actually have to say no. They have to say no to that extra money. And psychologically, I mean, they're saying no to free money to process a refund. So that's why we're seeing it working. If the shopper was ever on the fence about asking for a refund versus continuing shopping, it's likely the thing that they need to kind of push them over the fence. And, if this isn't something that you've seen before, like think about it in real life. If you went into a retail store, so I bought a pair of shorts and I go up to the counter and I say, I need to return these. I don't like them. They're the wrong size. So I'd like a refund, please. And they say, okay, yeah, we can do that. Or here's a $10 bill. Why don't you take the shorts and the $10 bill, walk around, see if there's anything that you like. If there is, great, keep the $10. We'll add that to your credit. If not, that's fine. Just come back and we'll do a refund. I'd be willing to guess, I know for myself, I would definitely take a lap around the store if I hadn't done it already. And you can do that same thing online. You can do the same thing on your store. So here's what that might look like. So this is a brand, Amo Vera, that's using Loop. And what they're doing is they're offering shoppers an additional $5 of bonus credit if they decide to make an exchange. So you can see that sort of decision tree that someone has to go through. They either pass on 73, they have to pass on $73 to get their 68 back. And as a brand, think about how this works in your favor, because if you think about the true cost of a refund, we know it's a lot bigger than that $68. So you should work with your e-com and your finance team to really figure out, like, what is the maximum amount here? What's the optimal amount rather that you could offer for the bonus credit within your cost structure. But for simplicity's sake, just using $5, wouldn't you be willing to add an additional $5 to the cost of customer acquisition to save the entire sale and not have to worry about the refund? I think most people would be nodding their heads. I can't see all of you. Hopefully you are. But by doing this, there's sort of another benefit, and I want to sort of walk you through this. So I have a short video that I'm going to walk you through and talk over, and you're going to see what a shopper experiences on this website when they're presented with the choice. So step one is they click the returns button and they're asked to put in their order number and their zip code. So they do that. They click return and exchange. So they choose, this pulls up their whole cart or their whole order history. They choose what they want to return. They give a return reason, which is really great intel for you and your team. And now they can choose to either refund for $68 or they can go back and they can get a $5 credit to keep shopping. So in this example, they've chosen to keep shopping. What happens here is great. So now they're back on the main website and they're shopping again. So they're in a live shopping experience, exactly the way that they first bought the first item. But you can see that the $73 in credit is sort of following them around as they're shopping. So what this person does is they add a few items to their cart, they remove a few things, and they decide, okay, I'm ready to go and I want to use my credit. They hit submit. And as soon as they do that, they're taken back to the exchange experience. And you can see, here's all the things that they're returning. Here's what they're buying. You can see that their total cart value is $296. The return credit is right in there, the $68, a bonus credit of $5, and they're only paying $223. So you can see how seamless that is for a shopper. Everything's automated, so your team doesn't have to do anything. Think of the time that you're saving there. But also just think of the customer experience. I mean, that's so simple for this person who's making the exchange. And we see a lot of brands doing this and having a lot of success with it. So brands that are adopting this strategy are generating almost $2 per return in new revenue. So that's on top of the revenue that they're retaining by having the exchange in the first place. When people go through this experience, they're making an additional $2. So that was just that's one example to sort of illustrate what it looks like on just for one shopper. But I wanted to pull another example to show you what this looks like over a greater data set. So again, so this is pulled out of their Loop dashboard. These are a really well-known apparel brand. Again, I'm going to venture a guess that some of us are even wearing an article of their clothing, but suffice it to say, again, you know these guys. And what we did is we pulled their data over the course of the last year. So they have 38,000 returns per year. So that's about 3,200 a month. That's pretty substantial. So we're talking really high volume. So they use all of the strategies that we just talked about today. So they make gift returns really simple with that process. They offer free shipping on exchanges only, and they offer a bonus credit to keep shopping. So what do we see here? So number one, 60% of their returns end up as refunds. 60%. Remember the stat at the beginning. Only all Shopify brands have an average of 80% of returns ending up as refunds. So they're beating that average by 20 percentage points. Number two is they've saved $530,000 in revenue that otherwise might have been refunded through exchanges. So by having a simple, seamless, self-serve exchange policy, they've saved over $500,000. And by offering the ability for someone who would be doing an exchange to go and keep shopping, they've saved an additional $629,000 that might have been refunded. And what you see in green there, that 64,000, that's all of the upsell that they've put together through the bonus credit and through the Shop Now functionality that we showed you there with Emma Bear. So, this is a really well-known brand over the course of a year with a lot of data, and this is not uncommon. I mean, this is the kind of results that putting a playbook like this into place. These are the kind of results that these brands are seeing. So let's quickly review the playbook and get you on your way. So the first is making gifts exchanges easy. Number 2 is offering free shipping on exchanges. Number 3 is incentivizing customers to shop. And it's all in pursuit of losing less dollars to holiday refunds. So again, the strategies that we talked about here today, they're already being used by hundreds of brands. And you might be sitting here thinking, well, it's too late for me to do this stuff. The holiday season's right around the corner. Code freeze is here. I promise you it is not too late. Before we even put this presentation together, we were all sitting around at Loop having a conversation on like, what can we do this holiday season to make sure that our customers and anyone who's looking for help can have the best holiday season and best return season that they've ever had. And the first thing we did is we said, we need to put a playbook together. So that's what this is. So you're going to be getting this after. But then we wanted to go a step further and come up with a way to just make it as easy, simple as possible for you to put a playbook like this into place. So here's what we're going to do. So if you sign up for Loop before the end of September, we're going to give you every single feature, option, capability, everything that Loop offers. It's typically in our Plus package, so that's the top of the line package. We're going to give that to you for the price of basic for the rest of 2020. So every strategy that we've talked about today, everything that we offer, we're going to give a giveaway to you for the lowest tier, lowest priced option that we offer, because we're that confident that if you get started using these strategies, you're not only going to have the best rest of 2020 as possible, but 2021 and beyond. Our onboarding and merchant success teams have been prepped and ready to go. So we'll make sure that you are up and running before the holiday season starts. So this is something that we'll set up for you. It'll be automated for your customers. It'll save your team time, and it'll put you in a really good situation for the holiday. So if you are interested, there's a link at the bottom. Just go to loopreturns.com/holiday. Just click on redeem the offer, book a demo, and we'll get you started as soon as today. So again, I hope you guys all learned something today. Hopefully this is something, when you get the deck, make sure to share it with your team, spread it around the company, and hit us up if you have any questions. I think we're at time now. So Alex, if there are any questions that came in through the chat, I have not been paying attention to it, but I think I saw a few. I'll pause here and feel free to ask a few questions, and Alex can tee them up to me.
So we got a couple questions here for you. The first one is, you talked about different types of returns and mentioned return and exchange. Is there any other return types that you didn't talk about?
Yes, there are. So I think I for illustration's sake, I think I simplified by saying returns are either a refund or an exchange. There's really 4 types. So there is a refund. There's a variant exchange, meaning like I have this maroon polo, but I want the same thing in blue, or I have a large and I want a medium. So that's a variant exchange. There's a product exchange. So I have someone bought me this maroon shirt and I don't want the shirt. I actually just want a pair of shorts from the same store. So I want to exchange the product. That's called a product exchange. And then the 4th is just a store credit. So I want to do an exchange, but I don't want a refund, and I don't know what I want yet, so I can just get a store credit back. So those are the 4 main types. I simplified by saying refund and exchange.
Right, I know we told people half hour here, so we'll do one more question because we're at 1:29. Okay. So someone's asking, do you think including a return shipping label in each order is a good way to automate?
Oh, right. So it would be like pre-printed out. It's like sticky and you can put it right in the box. Yeah. We see some brands do that. I mean, that's somewhere halfway in between manual and automated. In some ways it's simple because I don't have to print anything out, and I can just, as a shopper, I can just like slap it right in the box. But the reason we don't like that and we don't suggest it is because you don't know why I'm returning something. So this happened to me recently. I won't say the brand, but I bought a pair of sandals. I put them on. I didn't like the style. So they gave me the sticker, and I put the sticker on there. And I returned it and bought something different. They don't know the reason that I exchanged that is because when I looked at it on the website, I thought it was going to look a certain way. And then when I put them on my feet, they look totally different. That's a really valuable piece of information for you to know. And if you remember back in the video, the Amover example, there's the ability for the shopper to actually put in a return reason. So just think about how valuable that is. And the example I gave with the sandals, if you're seeing that over and over and over again, that people don't like the style, that might be assigned to your website team. Like maybe we need to change the picture that's on here, or it may actually be assigned to like your product development team, your merchandising team, that like these things just, they're the wrong wrong fit or the wrong shape, or they're just not comfortable on people. Like, that's really valuable information for you to know. So that example of having the return label prepackaged, it gets you about halfway there, I would say.
All right, we have a couple more questions here, but I do want to be cognizant of people's time. So I have those questions. We have them, and I will follow up with a response to each of those individual questions to the people who asked them, just to save everyone's time.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. Again, if you're interested, loopreturns.com/holiday. Even if you just want to chat through some strategies, some of the stuff we talked about today, the team's ready to do that. And be on the lookout for a follow-up email with all the content. So thanks again, everyone. Have a good day.